Hello, everyone. I'm Nicole Echeverria. I'm the Digital Marketing Manager here at LND Technical Services, and I'm so happy to have our VP of Global Operations here for today's interview. This is Kevin Halma. Kevin, thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, Nicole, awesome. Thank you for setting this up and thank you for the introduction. As Nicole mentioned, I'm the VP of Global Operations with LND Technical Services. I've worked with LND since 2022, been in this industry well over 10 years. So I'm excited for the interview today.
Yeah, exactly. I think with all of the engineering, more technical side of things, there's very few information out there that shows how engineering companies and utility companies kind of run from the operations side. So I'm really excited to kind of like reveal the curtain behind that as someone with your level of expertise. So, one of my first questions for you is how do you cultivate a culture of safety at every level of the company, but especially on your operations team?
Yeah, so we start out, safety is definitely one of our, well, is our core value, right? We want everyone to work safely. We want everyone to be able to go home safely. What I do is build a safety culture and teach people how to work safely. Also, constantly remind them why they want to work safely, right? I feel like that's a very important part too. People have family, friends, life, kids, right? That's why they go to work, is to provide for those people. If they're not working safely and there's an incident, then they may not go home to those people, right? And that's why they're working in the first place. If people don't have reasons to work safely, I'm not super comfortable with them being on my team, and I don't really think they belong in the industry, right? So it's very important to have those reasons to work safely. Next thing is employing people that I really trust and that can promote that safety culture and spread it amongst our teams. It's very important to the operation. I can't do that all by myself, but I have a great team of field service managers and other team members that have been in this industry a long time and can teach those safety aspects as well.
Totally makes sense. I think that from what I've seen is one of the core values of L&D overall, and it's really cool to see you prioritize that in your day-to-day responsibilities. And then I know each job, especially each part of the industry, isn't without its challenges. So alongside that, what are the operational challenges that you've personally experienced when like deploying a new project, or you've seen something that, okay, like we are really excited about this new remote project, but how have you overcome certain issues that pop up?
Yeah, big challenge for us, I would say, is logistics. We are you know, kind of a smaller size company, and we do projects throughout the country. So we have some pretty strategic partnerships now as far as our test equipment, safety equipment, rentals, stuff like that. We have a program set up with IntelliRent, who's a test equipment rental company that works pretty well. The logistics of shipping and getting things to remote part of the country, I would say, figured out pretty well with their help as well. So that's been good. Another thing is maintaining work-life balance for our teams. Since we work remotely, people spend a lot of times away from their families and loved ones and everything. So being able to, finish a project and make sure that people have an adequate amount of time off to catch up with their family, to get a break, to do the things that they want to in their life. That's very important to us as well. We do also promote everyone on our team to take at least one longer break, somewhere around a month, at least once a year. Try and continue to employ that as we grow and really push that with the teams for sure.
Yeah, I love that. I think L&D is the perfect environment for like achieving that balance as well.
Yeah.
And then also you mentioned a lot of the strategic partnerships that we've had at L&D. In your perspective, what makes a strong partnership between like engineering company and L&D, or your operations team and the engineering department at another company? Like what do you see the qualities that make them a strong match?
They just really know what we need, I would say. So it's really easy to do business with certain vendors and certain companies, right? Because they're so structured to support us, right? Which is perfect, right? If we ask for something that they don't offer, usually they're pretty willing to work with us and to develop that into their standard offerings. So that's been a big part for us is just they know our industry well and they're willing to adapt as well.
Okay. Awesome. And I know one of the main goals of L&D when we're delivering energy solutions is to make sure that we're providing like really resilient energy solutions. So in your also perspective, what role does operations play in making sure that what we deliver to a client is resilient, good uptime, everything like that?
Yeah, so I mean, it really starts at the engineering side of things, right? We do have both an engineering and a service team. So starting with very stable engineering solutions, right? We have some very good people within our company that are able to deliver those top-notch solutions on the engineering side. Where it comes in with the field teams, I mean, our teams are mainly doing testing, commissioning, putting new stations into service, or maintaining systems that have been in service for any number of years. So it's very important for our teams to perform to the highest level that
Mhm.
they can. We definitely promote excellence and kind of demand excellence from our people, right? And they're very good at delivering that. That's, the biggest thing I would say is just working to that high standard. We have a lot of policies and procedures and information that everyone can follow, but it really comes down to the people in the field following those, doing things to the best of their ability as well.
I've been at LND a few years and I've also seen our team grow. So, from your opinion, as your team has scaled, how have you been able to maintain those high standards? Like, is there like a secret sauce trick that you have, or is it just adapting to the new members to the team as you hire them along the way?
Yeah, largely finding the right people to be in the right positions and to build and sort of foster those teams, right? We have a lot of high level, knowledgeable people within our company, and we've built around that, right? We can't just have high level, highly experienced people. We have to have a blend of people and we have to train that next generation, right? And so that's a lot of what we're doing right now is really developing our internal training, getting ready for, well, not getting ready. We are getting that next generation into the industry, training them, and as we train them, they develop into that senior level, right? And sort of take the reins with that too. So there's a lot of kind of book training that happens and a lot of on the job training that happens as well.
So, you really invest on the training side of things on your team.
That's correct. Yes.
Awesome. When terms of like just hiring for your team, how do you identify if someone's highly trainable or learns fast? Is that like a certain trait that you look for, or do you look for other traits when you're hiring for your team?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, I mean, it's really easy to look at a resume and say this person meets the criteria or this person doesn't really meet the criteria, right? In our industry, it's very specific and it's very hard to find people with high level of experience in this industry, right? When we do, those are people that we want to talk to right away and really, get a feel for how they would interact with the team, right? Because it's not just about the experience that they have, it's also the attitude. And one of my notes for more people that are more on the junior side, right, kind of entering the industry is we already know that a lot of those people aren't going to have experience, right? And what it comes down to is the attitude, right? Do they want to learn? Do we think that they're going to take from others well and take the training well, right? Those are very important factors, especially with our teams working remotely, kind of away from home. It's very important for them to be able to work together, be able to hang out outside of work a little bit too, and really grow as a team that way, right? It's not just on the job, it's also outside of the job and after work that counts too.
So would you say like the passion and their mindset and their attitude matter almost just as much as their length of experience?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It's
So
very important to us. So.
I think, yeah, L&D is also a company that cares a lot about putting people first. So if they don't have that good attitude of bringing the team together, then it wouldn't be a good fit.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, we do a lot of events where, we try and get the team out and do team building and stuff like that, right? So that's a big part of who we are as a company as well.
That so I've seen photos of your team working on job sites all across the country in some maybe more difficult environments or underserved communities. Any like real world lessons that you've gathered from working in those communities and environments?
Yeah, so we're so project based, right? So we don't necessarily stay in one location for a long duration of time. So we don't get to necessarily spend a lot or do a lot of investment with the community, right? But something that we do get to see is our customers that are there, right? Our clients, the events that they do with the community and the donations and just the investment they have in the community is great to see, right? I would say we don't get to see that too super often, but it is nice when we do get to see it. And I know most of our teams, there's certainly some less desirable places that we travel to and not as much to do, for example, right? But there's a lot of places that we go to and the guys really almost get to call it home for a duration of time, right? Get to know the local restaurants, the staff there, hang out a little bit, try out what's local to that area, I guess, per se, right? So there's some benefits there, right? It may not seem like much, but it does make an impact on these communities when they're doing big projects like this and they have crews come in from other parts of the country. There is some investment, I guess, in the fact that our teams are going out, they're spending money there, they're enjoying the community as well, right?
And how, this is just a personal interest question. How long is like maybe your average project in each area? Is it a few weeks, a few months? Like what's the average?
Yeah, it really varies. I would say standard would be anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks to probably about 2 months.
Okay.
But we do projects that are shorter, and we do projects that are much longer as well. So longest project for us probably spanned over about a year and a half to 2 years. And that was not necessarily people there that whole time, but from, the day that we first mobilized till the day that we finally did our final demobilization, it was, yeah, probably close to 2 years. So on and off for different people.
And those long-term clients or long-term projects aren't as common in the industry, you would say?
Not for us, no. I would say, our average is more like that 1 to 2 month sort of time span. So sometimes a little bit longer than that, but usually around that ballpark. A lot of the projects that we do, they are longer term contract type of work as well. So, we get to work with the same customer for a long duration of time, but it's not like we're there every day, right? A lot of the work is kind of spread out, a certain amount of work in each year. So, we get to spend a lot of time ongoing with them, but it's not like we're seeing them every single day either, right?
Yeah, definitely makes sense. And I know L&D really prioritizes the value of sustainability and clean energy solutions and providing that for our clients. From your perspective, since you've worked in this quite a while, how has that transition been from, let's say, operating a team that worked with more traditional methods of energy and things like that to more like innovative, up and coming, more modern energy solutions?
Yeah, I would say the change in the backbone of what we do is minimal, right? Because when you have a protective relay or a circuit breaker or a power transformer, it operates essentially in the same form or fashion, whether it's traditional energy or a cleaner renewable energy, right? Where we've seen a lot of changes, there's a big digitization of the industry happening right now. As far as IEC 61850 and some of these new communication protocols coming in, that's really kind of been a big proponent of some of our development internally, right, is getting ready for that transition, right? Where this new age technology comes in, we want to sort of be the company at the forefront of that, and a leader in deploying and both engineering and testing commissioning of those types of systems.
And this is one of my last questions for you. For someone who is maybe early in their career right now in engineering and wants your role one day, is there any advice you would give them? Or if you want to give a little bit of your background and career path and how you got to where you are, that can provide some insight, I think that would be really helpful for our audience.
Yeah, I think it's really important for people starting out to start with the foundations, right? Build a strong technical knowledge, get a good education. I would say get a good education, but I've seen people succeed really well in this industry by just getting into it and getting the experience, right? So getting a good education is one way to do it, or at least to start, right? But it's going to come a lot to attitude and how you interact with other people as well, right? So, one, yeah, get into the industry, whether it's through that education or just getting the experience. Really learn. It's not going to happen super fast. It's going to take years to kind of cultivate the knowledge of how all these systems work and how the industry kind of works between the engineering side and the commissioning side, and then going into operations and maintenance and everything else, right? And so it is a pretty wide breast of knowledge that has to come, right? But along the way, keep your connections, keep in touch with people, because you never know who you might work with in the future, right? It's very important to keep your network strong. If you worked with someone in the past, so you're probably going to cross paths with them. It is a rather small industry, I would say. So very important to keep those relationships with people and to foster and develop those relationships as well. And yeah, just communication is very imperative, I would say, too, and important. Communicate well with your team members, with your managers, with people that report to you. Just really foster that communication and kind of camaraderie and team building, right? I try and yeah, see the guys as frequently as I can, travel to the different job sites, spend time with them, not just at work again, going out after work, relaxing, going out playing top golf or something like that, right? Just really, yeah, really enjoy that time and make it worth the while too.
Got it. Is there anything in particular about this industry, engineering, operations, whether L&D in particular, that has kept your passion alive and your interest all these years, that if someone else was also interested in these same things, they would have a career with longevity like you do?
Yeah, definitely. So when I first got into this industry and when I first went into school, I wanted to be a mechanical engineer. My grades weren't good enough, so I got into electrical, which I later found out was actually harder. But I made it through. I didn't think too much of electrical at first because I wasn't the type of person that wanted to be doing computer coding or PCB design or, some of those microelectric type of things, right? But I got a job in utility working in construction and absolutely loved it. So that's what kind of led me towards getting into this job with engineering and commissioning and kind of those more challenging parts of the industry, right? And yeah, I've loved it ever since. I've met some really good people along the way. Really, really enjoy the industry. And I'm quite happy that I ended up in this industry because it's a very strong industry right now. There's over the last 10, 15, 20 years, there's been so much development in the renewable energy sector, right? There's solar farms, wind farms going up all over the place. And every time you have one of those, there's a substation that goes with it,
Mhm.
or a switchyard that goes with it, or with a pair of these things, right? Or a few of them. It's a really good industry. I see that there's as time goes on, we try and employ these more energy efficient solutions, but the demand for electricity continues to go up and
Mhm.
up and up, right? There's a lot of the industry right now, and demand for energy is driven by AI and data centers and everything else, right? And that's something I just don't really see slowing down for the next 10 plus years, right? So it's a very stable industry to be in. There's going to be other forms of renewable energy entering the grid as well and be in high demand as well. So, for me, people just getting into this industry, I think it's a really great time. We're also sort of past the era of well past the era of electromechanical devices and older protective relays. We're very well in the middle of the microprocessor based, and there's more coming with that too, right? With IEC 61850 and the type of systems that are employed with that too. So there's another sort of shift happening with that protection and control side of the industry. It's very cool to be a part of. There's not only that, but there's so much GIS all over the place too, right? These more smaller, compact substations. It's really cool to see that shift from, a substation that could take up acres and acres of land being condensed into, a 10 or 20,000 square foot building or underground, for example, right? Or offshore. It's very cool to see. Lots of really impressive technology in the industry. There's a lot of leaders, developing the syncons and the HVDC and statcoms and everything like that, right? So very cool to see that happening. Very fun to be a part of. No job is ever the same. It's an ever changing industry, so it's very refreshing as you go through it.
Got it. So you would also agree that this industry has so much opportunities for growth as technology keeps changing that it's kept your interest and your passion all these years as well.
Yes, definitely. Yes.
Great. I think that's like one of the things that people, when they're like choosing a college major, they always look for. Like, does this have longevity? Does this have opportunities for growth? And I think, like, from everyone I've talked to, especially at LND, they definitely agree and see that in this industry.
Yeah, it's a great industry to continue to challenge people, right? Which most people want in their job, right? They want something that's challenging and not just the easy and mundane, right? So great industry to be in if you're looking for that challenge.
Yep. Amazing. And one of my last questions for you is if you could sum up the future of operations at L&D in one sentence, what would it be? Or what would you say is in store?
Yeah, this might be a bit of a run on, but yeah, I would say the future of L&D is to be a strong leader in the electrical industry with definitely a safety first culture, also cutting edge technical expertise while leading implementation of new industry technology. And we're going to continue to support the evolving demands of a more electrified, reliable, and sustainable energy infrastructure.
Of that, is there any hints that you could give me in the audience of what's to come in the future for L&D in terms of like maybe different locations, another like cool technology that we want to start implementing more and more? Any little Easter egg you can give?
We're going to keep that a secret for now.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, thank you again, Kevin. That was all the questions I had for you today. And I feel like this interview was very informative, especially for people maybe early in their careers who want to see if this is the field for them, especially for operations. And I really admire all the work that you do at L&D. And thank you again so much for your time today.
Yeah, I will say we do have a project coming up in the Bahamas, so we're all looking forward to that.
I'm jealous. I'm jealous. Okay, awesome. So that's also proof for more people in engineering that it could take you to places you never would expect, right?
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, we are a global company. We do have our office in Vietnam, Puerto
Right.
Rico, and in the US here. So, there could be plans in the future to do projects in some more of those locations too, right? So, definitely a very exciting company to be a part of, to see the growth. We've grown so substantially over the last, well, 5 years, I guess it's been, and so quickly, and we want to maintain good growth and safe growth as well.
Safety first along the way.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you again so much. Have an amazing rest of your day, Kevin.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Nicole. It's great talking to you. Bye.
Thanks. Okay, bye.